Donald Trump thwarted Israel's military plans for a strike on Iranian nuclear facilities that had been scheduled for May, according to a New York Times report. For the operation to succeed, it required backing from the United States. This was precisely the issue discussed during Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to Washington in early April. Israeli officials had recently completed a detailed plan to attack Iran's nuclear sites. They were ready to execute it in May and were, at one point, optimistic about receiving a green light from Washington. According to informed sources, the goal of the operation was to delay Iran's ability to produce nuclear weapons by at least 1 year. Nearly all of the proposed options would have required American support, both in defending Israel from Iranian retaliation and in ensuring the operation's success. In this way, the United States would have become a central actor in the conflict. Following his visit to the White House, where he publicly demonstrated disagreements with President Donald Trump on key issues, Netanyahu tried to present the trip in a positive light. He outlined his position on the nuclear negotiations with Iran, trade tariffs, and the strained relationship with Turkey. I am concluding my second visit to the United States in 2 months. It was a very warm visit with my friend President Donald Trump. Our close bond and deep friendship were evident, especially regarding the Iranian issue. We agree that Iran must never obtain nuclear weapons. This can be achieved through an agreement, but only in the Libyan model. You go and dismantle the facilities, remove the equipment, under American control and execution. That would be good. The second option is military action if the talks are only for show. Everyone understands this. This is what we discussed. At the moment, Trump is leaning toward diplomacy rather than military action and is preparing for a second round of negotiations in Rome. I believe Iran must not have nuclear weapons, period. They cannot be allowed to have them. I want Iran to be wealthy, strong, and a great nation. I stopped them once before. They had no money and couldn't fund Hamas or Hezbollah. There would have been no 7th of October. When Biden came in, he lifted the sanctions. I told China, if you buy even 1 barrel of oil from Iran, you will not do business with the United States. By the way, we had good talks with China, very good. But back to Iran, they must not get nuclear weapons. If they do, your life, everyone's life, will be in grave danger. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, meanwhile, said that Iran does not want war and accused Israel of terrorism. We are trying to resolve our regional differences peacefully. We do not want war, and we have never wanted it. We are victims of terrorism. More than 26,000 people have died on our streets. Israel is the perpetrator. They carry out open acts of terror through software, hardware, and social tactics. They do what they want, and then speak of human rights. We will never accept humiliation, God willing. But we want peace and security for all people in the world. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff held secret talks with Israel ahead of the nuclear negotiations with Iran, Axios reported. The meeting took place in Paris. Israeli Minister of Strategic Affairs Ron Dermer and Mossad Chief David Barnea sought to influence Washington's position. Iran considers a deal with the United States possible if Washington stays realistic, said Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. On Wednesday, he met first with Vladimir Putin and then Sergei Lavrov in Moscow. The Kremlin stated that Russia is ready to mediate if both sides accept this. Russia had already played an active role in the 2015 agreement, from which Trump withdrew in 2018. I kept Mr. Lavrov informed of all discussions. We appreciated Russia's role in implementing the comprehensive plan on the Iranian nuclear issue. That role was important and helpful. We hope that Russia will continue to play a constructive role. Currently, there are only indirect talks with the United States due to sanctions, economic pressure, and the policy of maximum pressure. Nonetheless, the diplomatic channel remains open. Indirect negotiation is a normal and acceptable path when focusing on the nuclear dispute. If no unrealistic demands are made, a deal is possible. We are open to any role that Iran finds useful and that the United States accepts. An agreement is only possible on nuclear issues. Iran is ready to seek a deal under the framework of the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Those who want to bring in other topics must accept this, or risk creating a dangerous situation. Trump advisor Steve Witkoff stated that a diplomatic agreement depends on verifying uranium enrichment and any potential military components. Iran does not need enrichment above 3.67%. In some cases, they enrich to 60%, in others to 20%. That must not happen. It is important to verify the enrichment program and weapons-related components, such as missiles and detonation mechanisms. We are trying to resolve the situation diplomatically. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi responded that Iran's right to enrich uranium is non-negotiable. The Guardian reported that Iran is likely to reject a U.S. proposal to transfer enriched uranium to a third country like Russia. Araghchi said that true positions would be revealed at the negotiating table. Uranium enrichment is a reality. We are ready to build confidence, but the principle of enrichment is not up for discussion. Saturday's meeting will continue from the previous round of talks, which have been constructive. However, contradictory statements from American officials in the interim have complicated the negotiating process. If the United States behaves constructively, a framework agreement could be discussed. If it continues to behave inconsistently, reaching an agreement will be difficult. Ahead of the second round of negotiations, IAEA Director Rafael Grossi visited Tehran. His inspectors monitor Iranian nuclear facilities. The agency expressed concern about Iran's stockpile of uranium enriched to 60% and found traces at undeclared sites. Grossi must be informed. The IAEA plays an essential role in this process. It is the only internationally mandated body that monitors nuclear programs. We have had ups and downs in our cooperation, but its role remains vital. This work must be free from political influence. Our positions may not please everyone, but we aim for honest mediation between the conflicting parties. Tehran also received a visit from Saudi Defense Minister Prince Khalid bin Salman. He met with the Secretary of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, Ali Akbar Ahmadian, with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and with President Masoud Pezeshkian. According to Iranian state media, he delivered a message from King Salman bin Abdulaziz, though the contents were not disclosed. Iran's nuclear program involves many facilities. Despite decades of threats from Israeli airstrikes, only a few of them were built underground. The United States and the IAEA believe that Iran had a covert weapons program up until 2003, which was subsequently halted. Iran denies ever having had or planned such a program. In 2015, Iran agreed to restrict its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. After Trump withdrew in 2018, Iran gradually pulled out of the agreement as well. In a sense, the situation is now returning to 2015 or 2016. So what was the point of withdrawing? Some argue that Obama had not ratified the agreement properly through Congress and the Senate. But Trump often governed unilaterally, even without consulting his own cabinet. Republicans criticize the agreement as lacking ratification. But the key point is this: owning uranium, or even a bomb, is not enough. Delivery mechanisms are needed. Iran's air force is currently limited, so they would have to rely on missiles, which is complex. Economically, Iran is suffering. The national currency has significantly depreciated over the past 2 months, and the decline continues. European countries, which formally remain in the agreement, made no significant trade deals between 2016 and 2017 because of U.S. sanctions. The situation is dire. What does Donald Trump want? Some say he aims to remove the issue from the table. Rapid negotiations are being discussed, and if they fail, a U.S. strike on Iran may follow. Israel alone could not carry out such an operation. Araghchi likely brought insights from Saturday's meeting to Moscow in order to understand Russia's position. My conclusion: Russia will not offer Iran military support in case of war, and Tehran understands this. For the population, a war scenario looks grim, because the destruction of nuclear sites could have severe consequences for civilians. And the economic crisis is already so deep that even continued stagnation may be unbearable. Since the failure of the deal, Iran has continued enriching uranium, drastically shortening the so-called breakout time.